Bitcoin has come a long way. In 2025, the global financial system is looking radically different. Bitcoin isn't just an investment anymore, it's becoming a tool of strategic power, and some countries are quietly preparing to wield it. The question isn't if nations will hold Bitcoin as a reserve, but who's doing it now and who will lead the way in the near future. Since 2016, we have shared our perspective on the true nature of Bitcoin, that it was designed for sovereign individuals and nations, not the average person, and we're finally seeing this vision come to life. Let's start with China, a nation known for its secretive and strategic moves.
Same time though, China can move really fast when they want to. So this is the difference between a democracy and a sort of aligned leader, like a powerful leadership, where when the top leader says go this way, there's no debate.
While China hasn't publicly declared any Bitcoin reserves, former Binance CEO CZ offers an intriguing perspective. He suggests that China's approach to Bitcoin mirrors its broader strategies, silent accumulation behind closed doors. Publicly, there's no confirmation. But does that mean China isn't involved? Probably not.
I'd be shocked if they announce something and then do it. I mean, I'd be much less surprised if they accumulate and then announce.
Another thing is, CZ theorizes that Hong Kong serves as China's sandbox for experimenting with crypto policies. Recent moves like approving Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong hint at a larger game plan. Cultural tendencies toward discretion and the extent of China's influence make it highly likely that they are already building a reserve, waiting for the right moment to reveal it. Now let's talk about the United Kingdom. Andrew Tate has put forward a bold vision for Bitcoin's role in the UK. He proposes not only adopting Bitcoin as a national reserve, but also the use of blockchain technology for electronic voting system.
For anybody who is mocking this attempt for me to become the Prime Minister, please understand, I'm a wealthy person with 50 years of life left. The chance of me being Prime Minister, considering I was the most Googled man alive, sometime before I die, is actually very high.
Tate's influence has grown immensely, and while his approach to politics might seem unconventional, it's not far-fetched to imagine him as a serious contender for prime minister in the future. His ideas and ability to captivate large audiences could resonate with a population increasingly frustrated with a country in political decline. If he were to achieve this position, his Bitcoin-focused policies could drastically alter the UK's financial landscape. However, besides Andrew Tate's idea, there is no consensus among UK politicians regarding the adoption of Bitcoin as a national reserve asset. The government's current focus remains on regulating cryptocurrencies to protect consumers. Germany is also inching closer to the Bitcoin reserve conversation. A former finance minister recently suggested that the European Central Bank incorporate Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies into its reserves. While this idea hasn't yet translated into policy, it signals growing acceptance of Bitcoin as a legitimate reserve asset in Europe. Germany, as one of the EU's most influential economies, could lead the charge. However, the road to adoption is complicated. EU-wide agreements, regulatory hurdles, and resistance from traditional financial institutions could slow progress. Still, the fact that this is being seriously discussed is monumental, and that's why you shouldn't miss out. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on any big changes in the crypto and geopolitical world. Moving on to Canada, the conversation around Bitcoin has gained traction as the country prepares for potential political changes. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, has been a strong advocate for Bitcoin, publicly promoting its adoption and suggesting it could play a role in Canada's economic future. Poilievre has criticized traditional financial policies and pushed for the idea of Bitcoin reserves, emphasizing the need for modernization in Canada's financial system. While current Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's administration has shown little interest in crypto integration, the possibility of a political shift has put Bitcoin on the radar as a topic of serious debate. As discussions continue, Canada could soon be at a crossroads regarding its approach to digital assets. In Switzerland, a significant push is underway to integrate Bitcoin into the nation's financial system. A recent federal popular initiative proposes requiring the Swiss National Bank, SNB, to hold Bitcoin as part of its reserves. This initiative, driven by Bitcoin advocates and citizens alike, highlights the growing interest in treating Bitcoin as a strategic asset. The proposal is in its early stages, requiring the collection of 100,000 valid signatures to trigger a nationwide referendum. If successful, this could lead to a binding decision. Switzerland's reputation for financial innovation and neutrality makes this an intriguing development. However, challenges remain, including debates over Bitcoin's volatility and its compatibility with traditional reserve assets. And then there's El Salvador, the pioneer of Bitcoin adoption on a national scale. Despite significant pushback from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the country has embraced Bitcoin as legal tender and integrated it into its economy. El Salvador has already purchased over 2,300 Bitcoin and recently added another $1 million to its reserves. This bold strategy has made El Salvador a global case study for Bitcoin adoption at the state level. While the country faces criticism and economic challenges, its commitment to Bitcoin continues to signal a transformative approach to financial innovation and national strategy. We genuinely believe that, just as many countries initially resisted Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but eventually embraced them as part of their financial systems, the IMF will inevitably hold Bitcoin reserves in the future. Argentina is also making waves. Lawmakers are pushing for the central bank to both purchase and mine Bitcoin. In a country battling hyperinflation and currency instability, this proposal could be transformative. However, political and economic instability might delay significant action. Still, the idea alone shows how Bitcoin is becoming a lifeline for countries in financial distress. Also important to notice, the Czech Republic has recently become a center of innovation in the cryptocurrency world. After all, it's the birthplace of Trezor, one of the most trusted hardware wallets globally. Now the country's central bank is beginning to recognize Bitcoin's potential. The governor of the Czech National Bank recently expressed openness to the idea of investing in Bitcoin in the future. Still, no immediate plans have been made. Now, let's look at what's happening in Russia. Russia has been exploring Bitcoin reserves as a potential way to bypass Western sanctions and regain financial autonomy. With restricted access to traditional financial systems, Bitcoin offers a decentralized alternative for stabilizing its economy and enabling cross-border transactions. A recent proposal by a Russian lawmaker suggests the creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, emphasizing its potential to counter economic challenges and reduce reliance on conventional financial infrastructure. Although the Kremlin has not made any official announcements, Russia's interest in using cryptocurrency for international trade has been growing, particularly with countries facing similar sanctions. In the face of mounting geopolitical pressure, Bitcoin could become a crucial part of Russia's strategy to bolster its economic resilience and navigate global financial restrictions. Finally, we arrive at the United States, where the conversation around Bitcoin is no longer news. However, Jerome Powell recently stated that the Federal Reserve isn't holding Bitcoin and doesn't plan to. Still, this doesn't mean the US is entirely out of the game. The proposed Bitcoin Act and discussions around incorporating crypto-friendly policies under the Trump administration will change the landscape. The proposed Bitcoin Act outlines a clear plan for the U.S. Treasury to acquire Bitcoin systematically. The act suggests purchasing up to 1 million Bitcoin over a 5-year period with a limit of 200,000 Bitcoin per year. These reserves would be held in secure, decentralized facilities across the country with a mandatory holding period of at least 20 years. The US has always been a leader in financial innovation, and ignoring Bitcoin would be a glaring blind spot. And then there's Michael Saylor's bold vision for Bitcoin's role on a global scale. He proposes a game-changing strategy. A country like the United States could catalyze the development of a world reserve capital network by acquiring 20 to 25% of the Bitcoin supply. By doing so, the US could attract capital from around the globe as other nations, including geopolitical rivals like China and Russia, shift their reserves into Bitcoin. This move wouldn't just solidify Bitcoin's dominance, it would also redirect global wealth into the US economy. But Saylor takes it a step further with an even more radical idea: dump all the US gold reserves and use the proceeds to buy Bitcoin. He argues this would effectively demonetize gold, collapsing its value, particularly in nations like China and Russia, where central banks hold significant gold reserves.
You will demonetize the entire gold asset class, and our enemies hold gold in their banks, so their assets would go to zero.
In contrast, Bitcoin's value would skyrocket, with the US US emerging as the dominant force in both the global reserve capital network and the world's reserve currency system. It's an ambitious, almost provocative vision, but it reflects Saylor's unwavering belief in Bitcoin as the ultimate asset for global economic dominance. And something is clear, this is a drastic but smart idea. The first country to do this and act decisively will define its financial future. As more nations evaluate Bitcoin's potential, we are witnessing the early stages of a shift that is redefining money, power, and economic strategy. What's even clearer is that if you've made it this far into the video, you probably enjoyed the information provided. So remember to hit the subscribe and the like button, and as always, stay curious and stay hodling.